The locksmith got called to a storage facility at 11 p.m. because someone was locked inside their unit. When he arrived, the manager explained that a tenant had been inside organizing their stuff when the automatic door malfunctioned and trapped them. The emergency release wasn't working, and they'd been stuck for 3 hours. The manager said they called the fire department, but they were dealing with a car accident and wouldn't arrive for at least another hour. The locksmith, a guy named Eddie in his 40s, asked which unit, and the manager pointed to number 237 at the far end of the building. Eddie grabbed his tools and walked down, could hear someone crying softly through the metal door. He knocked and identified himself, asked if they were okay. A woman's voice said she was fine physically but having a panic attack because she was claustrophobic and the space was tiny and dark. Eddie told her to keep talking to him while he worked so she wouldn't feel alone. She started telling him about why she was there so late. He said she'd been evicted from her apartment that morning and was trying to organize what little she'd salvaged before sleeping in her car. Her voice kept breaking, and Eddie worked faster, talking to her the whole time about nothing important, just his day and his kids and anything to keep her distracted. It took him 40 minutes to override the electronic lock without damaging it. When the door finally rolled up, the woman practically fell out, mid-30s and shaking badly. Eddie helped her sit down, and the manager brought water. After she calmed down, Eddie asked where her car was parked, and she pointed to an old sedan in the corner of the lot with blankets visible in the back seat. Eddie told the manager he needed to talk to the woman privately and walked her to his truck. He asked how long she'd been sleeping in her car, and she said this was night one. She'd lost her job 2 months ago and burned through savings paying rent until the eviction. Eddie pulled out his phone and called his sister, who managed the women's transitional housing program, explained the situation while the woman listened in disbelief. His sister had one bed available and could pick her up within the hour. Eddie stayed until his sister arrived, helped transfer the woman's belongings from the storage unit to the car, refused payment for the locksmith call, and told the manager to comp her storage fees for the month. But before the woman left, she asked Eddie why he'd done all this when he could have just opened the door and left. Eddie said 6 years ago he'd been laid off and lived in his truck for 3 months with his 2 kids. Someone from a church found them in a parking lot and got them into temporary housing that turned permanent. He never forgot being one breakdown away from losing everything. The woman got into his sister's car, and Eddie watched them drive away. 4 months later, Eddie got a letter at his shop from the woman. She found a job as a medical assistant, saved enough for a small apartment, and wanted him to know that the night she got trapped in that storage unit was the night someone finally saw her as a person worth helping instead of a problem to avoid. She enclosed a $50 bill for the locksmith service he'd never charged. Eddie framed the letter and hung it next to his business license because he learned that sometimes people don't just need doors open. They need someone to see them standing on the other side. Comment trapped. If crisis reveals who shows up.